This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for September 26, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, commentators uneasy with a possible selection of Juliet Holness as House Speaker. Political commentators are expressing unease over the possible selection of Deputy House Speaker Juliet Holness as a Speaker of the House of Representatives. Speaking in an interview with the news, political commentator and a former Member of Parliament for St. James's Central, Lloyd B. Smith, said he believes Mrs. Holness becoming the next House Speaker would be an unwise move given a public scrutiny that may arise surrounding her integrity and ability to be impartial.
I think there may be a certain uncomfortable atmosphere to any such appointment, given the fact that the Speaker holds sway in the House. Will he, for example, be able to try the husband, the Prime Minister, if he were to do anything or say anything that is not in line with the standing orders? So it's a tricky situation.
Lecturer and the political commentator Damon Gordon said outgoing House Speaker Marissa Dalrymple-Philibert's issues with the Integrity Commission and her stewardship of the House have brought the role into disrepute. He believes the next Speaker will be under heavy public scrutiny as a result. Mrs. Dalrymple-Philibert has come under fire from opposition members for what they claim was her apparent bias and controversial decisions on heavily disputed matters in the House.
So I think that the son of the Speaker of the House will be placed under great scrutiny, considering the circumstances that led to the vacancy. There is certainly a strong view that the stewardship of the House under the previous tenure of the Speaker was a lot was left to be desired in terms of objectively and managing parliamentary procedures in a balance. So much so that the next Speaker, there are high expectations now being imposed on the next Speaker to steward the Parliament in a much more different manner.
3 women among 4 killed in St. Catherine. 3 women were among 4 people killed in Crawl, Riversdale in St. Catherine early Tuesday morning, the police have confirmed. A police source told the news that residents heard several explosions around 2:15 a.m. The police were called and the victims, 3 women and a man, were found with what appeared to be gunshot wounds. They were all killed at the same house, the police say. More details to follow. Ice cream vendor killed in St. Elizabeth crash. There has been another fatal crash in St. Elizabeth. The latest victim is 74-year-old Clifton Witter, an ice cream vendor of Middle Quarters District. He was killed along the Whitehall Main Road sometime after 1 o'clock. It is reported that Mr. Witter was riding his motorcycle along the roadway when he collided with a grey Toyota Axio motor car. Mr. Witter, who sustained severe injuries, was rushed to hospital where he was pronounced dead. 3 road fatalities have been recorded in St. Elizabeth over the last 4 days. Driver rescued as a vehicle plunges into Rio Cobre. A vehicle has plunged into the Rio Cobre in St. Catherine. The Honda CR-V driver, who was the sole occupant, has been rescued. Speaking with the news on Monday evening, Assistant Commissioner of Police Gary McKenzie said it is unclear what direction the driver was traveling in, but the mishap occurred between the Flatbridge and the Kent village. It is understood that the Spanish Town Fire Station had also dispatched a unit to the scene as the vehicle remains in the river. ACP McKenzie warned the motorists that the roadway in that area is wet, therefore they should exercise even more caution. He said there are always delays along the road because a larger truck has broken down in the vicinity. Stiffer penalties proposed for breaches of Cybercrimes Act. Stiffer penalties should be imposed for malicious communication, including hate speech. That's the recommendation from the Joint Select Committee charged with reviewing the Cybercrimes Act 2015. Speaking in the House of Representatives last week, Minister of Science and Telecommunications Darrell Vaz said the committee recommended that Section 9 of the Act be amended to deter those intent on causing mayhem in cyberspace. It was recommended that the Act be amended to include hate speech as a type of communication deserving of punitive treatment.
One stakeholder, Madam Speaker, recommended that the Cybercrimes Act be amended to include hate speech as a type of communication deserving of punitive treatment. The committee was advised by the Legal Reform Department that the issue of hate speech engaged several rights under the Constitution, especially the freedom of expression. It was suggested that the Ministry with responsibility for information should take the lead in crafting provisions on the offense of hate speech. On the issue of revenge porn or the sharing of an intimate image, the committee was informed that some jurisdictions address this matter in a technological neutral way, whereby the form of publication was not limited to computers. It was suggested that the proposal to create an offense of revenge porn could be included in Section 9, the scope of which was sufficiently wide as the provision addressed data published with an intention to harass or cause harm.
Church leader calls for death penalty against the perpetrator in St. Anne girls' rape and murder. A preacher is calling for the death penalty to be brought against the person responsible for raping and killing 8-year-old Talia Thompson of Fortland, Discovery Bay, St. Anne. Her neighbor, a 27-year-old sanitary worker, is accused of committing the act. He is in hospital under police guard after he tried to kill himself. The preacher, who identifies himself as the Chancellor of the Spiritual Christian Revivalist Council of Churches, Archbishop Professor Brian Cameron, says that the church has been taken aback by the brazen act against the child. He called for the resumption of the death penalty, arguing that it would deter many of the gruesome attacks against the nation's children.
It is very important that we reintroduce the resumption of the death penalty. I believe that it will deter many of these gruesome killing of our nation's children. We are tired of hearing this gruesome news of our children being murdered. It is time that we understand that we must put an end to this. The church has been too silent on these matters. The church will rise up when they hear about gambling. The church will rise up when they hear about homosexuality. But when these things come up, the church becomes silent. I am leading the charge. We are standing up for what is right in our nation. We believe that it is our bound duty as servants of God. Yeah? When the church is being segregated against government, against other churches, against party, then we are going to have problems.
In the meantime, children's advocate Dan Gordon Harrison has again warned their parents to be more vigilant about who they allow around their children. Commenting on the murder of 8-year-old Talia Thompson, the children's advocate argued that the data clearly show that the people who harm children the worst are the people who know them. She said a greater dialogue is needed to reinforce common rules regarding children's safety.
It has to be that we move the dialogue now to how we expose our children to just some common rules that, we don't go against, despite how seemingly safe it may be. So, for example, we're not going to anybody's house without our parents. We are not going for a ride with anyone because we see them all the time. We're not going to accept any proposition that anyone makes because they seem to be a friend of your parents or of your, godmother or anything like that. But we're in a very serious time. And this situation again reminds me that the statistics have told us this for a long time, that people who harm children the worst are the people who know them. So it's a sad fact.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.